All right, so I didn't necessarily mean for this to be so late, but hey, again, I don't know why because we're so busy lately. So either way, so let's go on to lesson 13 for 52 short stories. And I want to continue talking about pre-writing a novel. So the next thing we're going to talk about is settings. So settings is like a very important character in your story. So you definitely need to spend a lot of time on setting. So of course, it's not necessarily like before. Originally, when novels first came out, it was around that time that actually paintings were very popular. So if you read a lot of the old novels, what you'll find out is that there's a lot of heavy description on setting, a lot of description. Where if you read modern novels now, there's actually less emphasis on settings, more emphasis actually on actually the action. So you see a lot of action written in modern novels or current novels versus the previous ones where there was just more of the just descriptions. Now, of course, just because descriptions aren't necessarily as popular as before, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't spend time working on your descriptions. So, now, of course, I'm also guilty of this, but I'm just saying if you're going to write a long story, you really need to understand what is your setting. If you don't know what your settings are, then it's just going to be very hard for you to write. So it's very important because settings it's very important. It's like a character the same way your hero is important. You need to know also your setting. Okay? So first thing you should ask yourself or first thing you should describe in your notes should be where does your character live? Where is their bedroom? Where is, exactly how do they live? How does their room look like? Uh, their home, who do they live with? All of those things that would make up a person because honestly, like, yes, um, a home always usually kind of has the same things, but when you think about it, not necessarily. Depends on who you are, depends on where you are, what time period it is. So there are many things that will make a difference in your character's home. And if you don't believe me, then just go to your friend's house, go to your family's house. Everybody's house is different in different ways. It's like maybe it's not big things, but it's the little things that matter, the little things that'll make the home different. So make sure you spend that time describing where your character actually lives. Okay? Now, the other thing you need to describe is the city. What city do they live in? Or maybe even what countryside do they live in? What town do they live in? Every city, every town is totally different than the other one. So you really have to spend that time describing those differences. So, for example, I was living in Washington, D.C., a few months ago. It was really busy, very hectic, very expensive. I mean, it's the capital of the United States. So it's a very busy place. The culture is, everybody's very aggressive. Everybody is just trying to hustle. It's a different environment than where I live now. Right now, I live in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio is a very quiet place, very laid back place. Everyone is relaxed. People are more focused on family, focused on their friends, you know, their social things, where in Washington, D.C., everybody was focused on work, work, work. So it's a totally different environment to be in. So where your character lives, what city they live in, or what country they live in, or town, it makes a big difference. So spend that time thinking about exactly where do they live and what is the culture of the place where they live at. So other things you need to think about too is where does your character work? And if they don't work, do they go to school? What exactly do they do every day when they wake up? There has to be a task, something that they have to do every day. So if it's not work, okay, that's fine. Do they go to school? Do they have to take care of their family? Um, what exactly do they do every day? So there has to be something that they wake up every day and they say, today, this is what I'm going to do. So the other thing too you have to think about is what are their favorite places? What are the places they go to when they're sad or happy or comforting, secret places that maybe other characters don't know about. Where are their favorite places? Everyone has favorite places. So what are the favorite places that your character has? Now, the other thing to think about too if you're writing like a love story, perhaps, is romantic places. Where are the most beautiful places in your story? And what makes them beautiful and special places? So think about settings that would be, romantic, whether it's the time of day or the objects that are there. Okay? So the other thing you have to think about, even if you're not writing a horror story, is scary places. There should be some scary places in your story. Not necessarily that you'll write about them in the beginning, but you'll write about them in the end. There has to be some places that make your character uncomfortable, that push them a little bit. You have to have some places where your character is uncomfortable. So what would be the scary places in your story? Preferably where your villains are, right? So, because villains are usually what make a place scary. So just think about what scary place there could be for your characters, okay? And don't say that, hey, I'm not writing horror, I'm not writing fantasy, that's fine. But even for your own life, I'm sure there are places that are scary that you have to go to. So where are those, places in your life that make you feel uncomfortable when you have to go there? Okay? So, what are the rules of the story or the rules of the place? So your characters should not be allowed to just do whatever they want. There should be some laws in the story, laws of the world they live in. So even if you think, okay, there's no rules in my story, there's always rules. Does your character have to be on time for school? Do they have to make sure they're home in time for their parents that are looking for them? Do they have to, spend time with certain people every day? Do they have, whatever it is the rules are that they have to do? And if they don't do them, that they will fail. And what are the rules they have to follow in order to succeed? Maybe, they're trying to get a basketball scholarship, so they have to go practice every day. What exactly are these rules that they have to follow every day? Okay? So the story type we're going to talk about today is becoming fortunate. So this is a story about someone who's had a hard time finally get something good in their life, right? Okay, so just think about this. I mean, this could be any type of character. Maybe like someone who's usually somebody who's poor, somebody who's struggling. That's probably the story, the kind of character you'd see here. So the goal is the character has a hard time and they want to fix their problem, whatever it is. If it's money, if it's their education, if it's their whatever it is they're trying to fix. The conflict, the character is unable to fix their problem. The disaster is the character actually does fix their problem, but now it causes them to have new problems. So think about a character who wins the lottery. Yes, winning the lottery is a nice thing, but what happens to you when you win the lottery? Everybody comes to you and everybody wants money from you, right? And if you don't give them money, people get angry at you. So, or maybe the person is like, hey, I wanted to be a politician for Somalia or something, and now they became a minister, and now everybody is like upset with them of, oh, you have to give me money, you have to sign this, you have to give me this, blah, blah, blah. So yes, the person fixed their problem. They're like, yes, I have a job now, or yes, I won the lottery, or maybe I got into Harvard University and now I have so much homework. So they fixed their problem and now it causes them to have more problems. So reaction, so your friends and family, they're against the new fortune. So how does the character feel that they are not getting the support they expected to get? Their dilemma, they don't want to give up their good fortune, but at the same time, they want to go back to that simple life that they had before they had the problem. So the decision, does the character use his good fortune to help others, to help maybe the people that were against him, or do they just give up and just say, you know what, forget about it, I just want to quit. I just want to go back to whatever it was I was doing before. So, how is it that this character who, struggles, suddenly they have good fortune, and then how is it that it's difficult for them to keep it, and do they want to keep it? Okay? So go ahead and write an outline for your 6 steps that happen in 6 minutes, 1 hour, or 6 hours, and write 100 to 200 words for each step of your short story. So write a short story every week. It's not possible to write 52 bad short stories in a row. Bye.